nor until relatives from Israel but degrade, and there's with that the war striking
very much no. And he says America.
Based on arraying that.
And he says America.
Based on arraying that he will do three of the men don't agree because he has do not want by going after. Remember what happened back and killed three of out Iran's
22
out Iran's
22
of the day's resolutions were critical debate in how go back critical debate in how go back to the old pro-Israel group.
Of our top stories to Truth Social, Trump options Iranians have taken to guard as well. The U.S. strikes out on a drone.
National atomic energy remains unknown. National atomic energy remains unknown. To warn
the Warmongering U.S. Iran decision.
Trump
retaliation.
Call for peace.
And Iranian nuclear facility
and Pakistan and
on the U.S.
Western capital
nuclear facility
and Pakistan and
on the U.S.
Western capital through time leading down with diplomacy. Now these that they discuss down with diplomacy. Now these that they discuss nuclear for E3. Now these that they discuss nuclear for E3 seems to see some. I think, but I think in The Hague.
Local fires and resident drones have shifted to Israel hospital.
Not from missile drone attacks. Not from missile drone attacks across to rob, crippled by food distribution, separate conditions. Residential clusters in the civilians with injured people and many victims.
Gaza is a shift. Palestine.
20 people with investigations are underway.
To develop its capability of the Syria, the lives
hundreds of his support. Khalil
capability of the Syria, the lives
hundreds of his support. Khalil illegal permits march for Khalil illegal permits march for
just so that we well and above all
you'll find Israel in
Stay across the Middle Caucasus, lifted dust and salt, and stay across the Middle Caucasus, lifted dust and salt, and certain cropping up. But I think of in terms of
was summit is expand bigger U.S. era.
States has struck who claim Iran doesn't, but Iran closer.
Israel President
released.
Trump demanded a violation.
The attack, EA.
Crossed all
a very big left for
some of Trump's own measure to long maintain
other. This
technology remains in leaks from nuclear.
Harazmi is the when to the negotiation.
And the plots. No trust.
In Istanbul, America's put down a red line with the Americans.
Which is fun class.
No trust.
In Istanbul, America's put down a red line with the Americans.
Which is fun class. Make on Friday. Which is fun class. Make on Friday. He said this nuclear enrichment. Make on Friday. He said this nuclear enrichment. Foreign Minister Iraq had to use force, but as if Foreign Minister Iraq had to use force, but as if
insecurity Fordo hitting Netanyahu.
I think that at least what has happened, we do not material trucks were observed. Enriched uranium. That was what the situation of the UN Charter continuation of we have
to negotiate Iran if
said Iran and patiently do Tel Aviv very badly through using Khorramshahr missiles.
Enough. I did what you want. A period of
taking for some facilities. It means Iran, right? That's.
So I don't know whether this is true to Iran Solomon that he is get the respect to be. We have seen established.
Because they and now they have needs to.
IAEA, Iran is developed view. And in tech, young developed view. And in tech, beyond the West. Then airstrike the West. Then airstrikes is at year. And knew about an option. Airstrikes is at year. And knew about an option. Being firm about as this.
A nuclear weapon
From Iraq. Structured nuclear weapon acquisition program currently underway. The report of nuclear weapon acquisition program currently underway. The report of 31 acquisition program currently underway. The report of 31 May essentially talked about do not negotiations winners of 35 South and choosing a peace. Well, South and choosing a peace. Well, and choosing a peace.
Well, let's not talk about the potential threat to use themselves. So, let's not talk about the potential threat to use themselves. So,
it does, I think, eliminating Iran's. He's made clear. It does, I think, eliminating Iran's. He's made clear in Yahoo's view their weapons capable. There are going to be no U.S. other today can imagine. Failure. It
sorry,
failure. It
sorry. There, you've heard what they've had. The American. Will you negotiate?
Idea of I we got.
Heard what they've had. The American. Will you negotiate?
Idea of I we got. Telling themselves action is used. We got. Telling themselves action is used. Cated and hostage off. So it's used as the attack to the United Arab Emirates with lots of United Arab Emirates with lots of.
I want to thank anytime Inside Story. Bye for now.
Live from Iran fires distribution sites in Gaza. Iran to aim from
Trump meant by that was a one-off nuclear far bunker buster bomb and this comment about West plan bunker buster bomb and this comment about West plan behalf and this comment about West plan behalf and Iran does it is the U.S. will line what Iran does and
these in this
what Iran does and
these were in the city of Sunport
that allegation
of the chart Washington and implement
clear facility. Their support for the stronger than they become.
Right. The airport hand and control and carried
sites were hit. Welcome U.S. involvement.
And the war. This is
for more missile blast. It's bombing of more missile blast. It's bombing of
congratulated world.
In Tehran, oil supply.
Live
congratulated world.
In Tehran, oil supply.
Live from well as the occupative. Live from well as the occupative.
Our reports about but compensation seek alternative house. These with the government that in value. This is in the northern community border.
Plenty of updates.
To state with Iraq and in several northern community border.
Plenty of updates.
To state with Iraq and in several context of crime as an strikes regime change in supreme leader.
On Iran having for an immediate
energy agent known.
Underground
energy agent known.
Underground damage.
The United States.
Damage.
The United States.
U.S. fish full and it's Israel.
Any Iranian.
In a sign.
U.S. fish full and it's Israel.
Any Iranian.
In a sign. Just for now.
Facilities by
have proposed addition days.
This leader in the after.
Great surprises here. Very little cloud showing up on. Great surprises here. Very little cloud showing up on the satellite picture. Chance of one or two showers over towards the satellite picture. Chance of one or two showers over towards the Caucasus. But further south, you can see where we have got the wind starting to pick up. See where we have got the wind starting to pick up across that eastern side of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, a little bit of lifted dust and sand. The wind's probably a little more lively as we go. It's probably a little more lively as we go through Tuesday as that Shamal across the eastern couple of days, cropping up around Tanzania, coastal Tanzania and Kenya. But south of that, it's largely dry and hot.
Peace just 48 hours ago.
I have
باك جديد ديال اوريو 3 كوكيز زيدوا.
It marks a perilous turn in a
Right, well, welcome back. You're watching Al Jazeera. Here's
it's looking pretty settled here as we go through the next couple of days. A similar picture. Easterly waves starting to pulse some showers across West Africa, over towards Liberia, towards Sierra Leone, towards Guinea. heavy
to military strikes. And an exchange bomb like Nay, there were fired Iran no sites face harsh 2 days later. Around the effect
out of Iran that key parts of the nuclear program, the civilian nuclear program, according to them, of course, in this performative flip-flopping, I mean, seeming a while, but it also minded wing. Iran was not indeed here, and I think what be phrased
of nuclear weapons from the treaties transfer their atomic energy as of Sput. Knowledge its nuclear director of the Nazi and secret
as leverage situation that feel like they have cards actually. Saudi PT, that was but cards actually. Saudi PT, that was but that would be pulling out international. Would be then Iran to program with now all the 9 of them. But there's a crisp of 60% them. But there's a crisp of 60% H somewhere.
More than third
region. The Gaza have asserted that 100 are operating far beyond capacity. Residential home in Gaza Strip places around the clock. Death before
under siege. Hope is as
former purposes across deportation. Sure as long several waves of air defense to what's believed authorities
where the things cannot replace while
that's it from me, sir.
And repeat 1 point. Mall have poured.
We have practically
through a new
$250 million.
Sent to the Oval.
$250 million.
Sent to the Oval Office.
Pointed in Elon.
What
thing in America that's not for sale. Over the key giveaway.
Poured out to
giveaway.
Poured out to the
200 chainsaw American history.
Obama took office, revolving door kind of
good for the.
But after the election of Donald.
Office, revolving door kind of
good for the.
But after the election of Donald.
And it was my mistake.
But after the election of Donald.
And it was my mistake.
People started to wake up.
Close.
I have to say it's
and
getting down.
Light must.
that is
Musk
Leader in the
Light must.
that is
Musk
leader in the world. Not even
Over thousands.
that
Propaganda.
Threatening West.
it comes from out as and he is obsessed actually.
The company.
If you have instant to get, put yourself online journalism and
turned it into.
It's right.
Valley has become sense that of America and in every
For the Cato Institute.
Opposed to one another.
America and in every
For the Cato Institute.
Opposed to one another. Technologies will guarantee.
We're voting for
gasoline on a loved in a
23 deal books.
The reactionary politics of victimhood that Musk and a lot of his politics of victimhood that Musk and a lot of his administration was not really
neoliberal
Into the ball.
And so
level of wealth.
every civilization has
Musk himself will mintic sources.
He's the ultimate star program. There's
that well.
he's gonna fix
Way. It was protesting.
growing fear.
He is a good thing. Great for America.
in which we live. Mindless.
He is a good thing. Great for America.
In which we live. Mindless.
should somebody get elected.
In which we live. Mindless.
Should somebody get elected, and I will tell you.
Because also Elon trying to get another tax break.
This is doing that all the shot.
Billionaire don't.
What do the Democrats stand? Who they?
There are a lot of taking money from the
Was
is aligned with turned around to
at the
100 days.
About the
100 days.
taken Tesla event on the White House lawn for you.
with his wealth.
But I'm sure and taxpayer and cost.
To ask.
To grab big harvests. They've bought a lot. They've stolen a lot. Big harvests. They've bought a lot. They've stolen a lot. But the government's repository, how this country operates, what they're at, that live
Going bankrupt.
Those people.
But the relationships. It has been said.
Been true. And this, but
A lot of these other tech reaction I want in terms of
Unprecedented. On a
Humanitarianism.
Personal explore in a
that didn't. We knew problem. Earth.
Warning system allows the government.
Jazeera's nuclear site, military injured casualties. Attacks on damage was
more, but what we Trump, people in the administration, that might would follow them. That might would follow them on commercial and here in the U.S.
Essentially,
in so many words, a little coy about those are his words. And it's elsewhere.
Essentially,
in so many words, a little coy about those are his words. And it's elsewhere. It seems
from Washington and Central drone was in strikes, meaning serious. President sponsor.
That we're eight.
President sponsor.
That we're structures in this region, and they can do weight damage and anticipate Rossi may exact amount.
Iran to
well, indeed, to the interception past 24 out, a 7-year-old child, Savi who is any reaction, and Iran is up Savi who is any reaction, and Iran is up to our.
As we've heard, a barrage.
Iranian strikes began around Haifa. Inside the U.S. involved.
This is my hope.
More Iranian blast. Bombing of targeted our peak. Iran hasn't yet supplies.
In Amman, George, more missiles.
In yesterday, where this the arrival now in Amman, this the arrival now in Amman, from or in short order, pushed more than 30 local authorities.
Being heard in missile.
There was in the early. There was in the early dawn. Missile cover parts of the Union cities.
In Israel, as in Mike's on Iran.
While President agency
the ground
United States
regime to refrain from and legitimate Israeli
Iranian
in a sign of 48 hours.
And sirens admired from each of the public former Israeli Lviv.
Win.
Tell us when you nuclear site. Way it's being seen.
The mission work there, but will be all Iranians weapons. Yeah, Iranians will weapons. Yeah, Iranians will Iran and
out domestic mourning place in Israel. Domestic mourning place in Israel.
The tragedy is done in days of. The tragedy is done in days of.
Thank you so much.
Understandable as much as trials for Trump. What in our
ask you about that? How
for Trump? What in our
ask you about that? How guarding? Ask you about that? How guarding?
Than hitting help any proof.
U.S. strikes on Egypt delay. So,
but the fact that this is the same. I think one of the items in casualty and make sure that
for Israel, Nur Odeh,
all the way just in the past,
Nur Odeh,
all the way just in the past that there might of any impact to what we heard, exposing more
as soon as while they were bombings across.
People now are dying escalation with power, the killing and on
the road we can
spokesman and continue to defend when we have it. Drought and continue to defend when we have it. Drought across all of Gaza. Drought across all of Gaza. Network is water.
Certain food from because it's very fast about the issue next that we just still work.
So water insecurity it's continue
that we
just
still work.
So water insecurity it's continuing to the these sites.
Food to be to collect some same time that is or that's the occupation. Same time that is or that's the occupation. Also the dignity insulted.
The director of the palace with me fully nuclear facility.
Also the dignity insulted.
The director of the palace with me fully nuclear facility change in Iranian sides. An Iranian of a civil power. Israel is following the launch. Or what's the latest?
In the vicinity to get visual.
Israel, it would seem not.
Nor has to fire interceptor like this happen.
And the Israeli 11 system,
different kinds of. We've seen several before of ballistic missiles that rely on from Israel ballistic missiles that rely on from Israel into these very large that kind of the vicinity of.
What we're looking at on the we will check it towards Israel, of course. That in the capital knows Israel, of course. That in the capital knows protest.
U.S. military Trump
There's no
that in the capital, in those protests.
U.S. military Donald Trump. There's no claimed wherefore of the capital foreign aggression.
You mean
that your force,
vulnerable or such a barrier.
Putin, the U.S. is
and draft regularly foreign ministry security of this 33 and China's interview in Beijing.
Europe and Israel under the
as in short says Israel account in but ability is
so
armed stands on Germany with the Dutch suspending majority, which is not enough foreign policy looking at the
from Israel. These are the let's bring in first time
I believe ever much of the
from Israel. These are the let's bring in first time
I believe ever much of the site I believe ever much of the sites okay, so this
okay
in Amman are
a barrage intercept
packed side a punishment. We're hearing explosions south of Djibouti.
Hit and done to Israeli buildings. I believe it goes on.
7 missiles, 50 damage. Chemicals, some of the several were classifying me of chemicals. Some of the several were classifying me of really can't damage.
And
several were classifying me of really can't damage.
And almost launched.
Polls fully is that Israelis aren't of a state or from armed group rockets or to the intercepted thing likely 5 minimal impact, but also on making it to end in
time that claim of
yeah, I mean it monetary assault of your Air Force able to create impact a lot
that on its nuclear respond harshly so far.
Which has not ability for saying that this because missiles assassinating this from Iran and different reporting in industrial area during this conference.
GMT cities. Explosions of missiles made impacts across west. The momentums were killed consequence.
Did the enemy feel
west the momentums were killed consequence.
Did the enemy feel the Islam this time too?
He does act north.
Go off reports Iranian sirens for West Bank rotation and seeing potency way incoming missile
there.
Dispatched of the Ain industry when the when the air admitted this,
such Ashkelon. You said also.
Army has been very in command. No Israel with square killing. That's why of missile interception. That a confrontation of the
couple of different territories saying that they're using which Iranian that we see last night. But still with just the quote unquote retaliate the war Iran to keep away. Recently they are retaliate the war Iran to keep away. Recently they are working rations. Iran's gonna
Iran about that before to the UN 10 days now.
That we are sure or not this is going to is really of the details when it comes is what's really of the details when it comes is what we have. But before this,
okay, and now
going to take place. Just one speculation out. They've got this speaker of the complex and from different. So they are sort of. We are criticizing them from Tehran. They are sort of. We are criticizing them from Tehran. They're saying that the fact sounds like. Still the continue trying to in a step by anything in hearing from. Still the continue trying to in a step by anything in hearing from in second.
With the late
anything in hearing from in second.
With the late Israeli minister's time, we understand. Israeli minister's time, yeah. But drones, isn't it?
Many. Part of the drones.
Missile defense days.
Part of the drones.
Missile defense days. Failure at some point.
They may be 90%.
Days. Failure at some point.
They may be 90%. We have here and there.
Like this camp didn't seem back. So
it is important. Ask me what with Iran.
Missile with Tehran. Understand that
meters
area is exactly.
It's very busy, and one of the bombing.
Okay, I'll ask you this.
It's on this side. She's gone. It's on this side. She's gone now.
Ground as well to private hospital. We're seeing
now.
Ground as well to private hospital. We're seeing in several areas likely ground as well to private hospital. We're seeing in several areas likely to.
Anzar, not to start tonight.
Yeah. Well, in terms of how.
Targets, American. If a country state of Hormuz is a state of unusual. It's unusual. It's a member of NPR. One option.
Last hour, where he's outside that home. Have been to Jerusalem. Nor, what's the latest? What's the latest?
Talk about besides fully making the installations as well. Supplies of the nature gone off
during this
impacts with Iran across less than difficult if they're reported as the locations.
About the effectiveness.
It is correct. Yesterday, fired, be fact, even sophisticated, but nothing that made Gaza and Lebanon. This is an arms bombard
daily life in Israel.
Perhaps to that in Israel, it would be
15 minutes was given.
Sirens going off. This going off as so. This is sirens going off. This going off as so. This is in Israel going off as so. This is in Israel. An exact a lot impacted the sirens.
Is that logic? Is that logic?
Place very huge place very huge a couple of missile launches. A couple of missile launches. Couple of missile launches.
Of a private hospital.
Office.
Of a private hospital.
Office. Hospital, and there was the target. The hospital, and there was the target. This is
to this escalation.
Well, more shops opening, getting used. It's a country with an event at the time of
Iran. Three of
need a kind of decision. So they don't want to have what war is. NPT is going off protocol framework of. It's clear that here and that framework of. It's clear that here and that. Respect to what's
getting the first pictures you were.
Respect to what's
getting the first pictures you were referring to it earlier with
more picture of air.
You were referring to it earlier with
more picture of airstrike.
Referring to it earlier with
more picture of airstrike. Hospital is a different area. Hospital is a different area. Report that the strikes are targeted. People in
the Iranian capital this month in just a few minutes. Is okay.
So
air raid is given after that. The impact not new. The impact not new. Not new.
The confrontation
about
the confrontation
about the
weapons. It was Netanyahu to something.
The missiles.
Apparently,
Prime Minister want to be part of it.
That he can 5+1, but Israel is not actually. Happened that coordinate the world. Where, as I said,
domestically in Israel.
Yes, are supporting
domestically in Israel.
Yes, are supporting of the UAE, really of the UAE, really Netanyahu.
War in Gaza is Netanyahu Prime Minister.
Netanyahu.
War in Gaza is Netanyahu Prime Minister.
War in Gaza is which is there.
Prime Minister.
War in Gaza is which is there. Discussion. So strength and weaponize Iran point. Weaponize Iran point.
Mr. Yossi Bailey,
Iran point.
Mr. Yossi Bailey, Iran, and therefore, Sally, you were telling us
these attacks in the north. So there are reports that comes to the Iranian hospital. It's for the hospital. It's for the 21st. 21st. United States of America, United States ours, and states it's not a nuclear plating, and Iran Israel war will end in the international. Yes, Israel missiles Israel. It seems that they are succeeding on different occasions.
Ali, Donald Trump has said Iran needs to return to the negotiating table after the U.S. attacks on